Hi, my name is Gschwandtner, and welcome to our LinkedIn live stream. And with me is Dayna Williams, the famous author of The Diligence Fix. Let's be diligent. What does the word diligent really mean?
Yeah, it's characterized by a steady, earnest, energetic effort. And so I love that idea in the context of professional selling and particularly sales leadership because, there's a lot of fast starters on our teams, a lot of sort of shiny objects, flash in the pan, things we get excited about. But what do we do day in and day out to develop those good habits, to create momentum, have our tires grip the roadways? That's where diligence kicks in. It's really the glue.
I think you're right. I think that the diligent salesperson dominates.
That's right. That's right. And, James Clear has that great book, Atomic Habits, and he talks to us all about, the fact is it isn't sort of big, sweeping, grand gestures. It's those micro behaviors day in and day out that compound, just like compound interest, but compounds from a productivity perspective that helps us obtain those ambitious goals. And that's what we need.
Yeah, one step at a time. Let's talk about the CRO Summit. Dayna, we are going to talk about how AI is going to change the role of the COO. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think we can expect from the previews that we've been having thus far, as this technology continues to double and quadruple in its capability, we can expect massive disruption. Gerhard, I think you're really at the forefront of bringing this topic to bear in the role of CRO. I mean, when we think about this role today, I think we can agree that it's essentially about overseeing and optimizing all revenue generating activities within a company, right? I mean, broad definition. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think there's really three things, and we can unpack them, but I think there's three things that are going to happen that are fairly easy to predict. The first is that AI is going to produce voluminous data intelligence. So what's a CRO need to do? They need to be responsible for maintaining big picture context. Because what good is all this intelligence if we can't contextualize it within our business? So that's number one.
Well, I agree because the CEO needs to have a better radar screen that's wider and more granular. And as technology evolves, we owe it to ourselves to help people evolve at that same pace. And the CEO is responsible for sales, marketing, and customer success. And they need to be integrative thinkers about issues that create more value for the company and for the customer. What is number two?
So number two is we think about AI analysis, right? And we see this, in terms of holding AI's fast capability up against, the analytical level at McKinsey or Deloitte or any of these other firms that have been known for their really effective analysis. And we know when AI is tapped, they can produce as good, if not better, and faster outcomes. Well, we're going to be able to have that same computational power inside of our sales organization. And so AI is going to be able to analyze all of these factors across the various parts of our sales cycle. So where does the CRO have to come in? Well, they need to continue to balance the robust insights and analysis that come from AI. They need to be able to balance that with customer experience and being the voice of the customer. Because I'm concerned that we could get so caught up in AI prescribing things that we lose sight of the fact that selling is still inherently human. And so the CRO is going to, as part of overseeing and optimizing revenue generating activities, they're going to need to balance the sheer output of analysis from AI and maintain the humanity, the voice of the customer within the organization.
I think this is an excellent point because when you optimize, the goal should be to create a frictionless experience for the customer, for the salesperson, for the organization. And removing friction is very hard. It's very challenging. But there is some resistance on the part of people because technology puts more pressure on humanity to level up, and expectations need to be higher of people. So a leader needs to show, here's the addressable market, here's what the data says, here is our strategy, and here's how we use processes that execute that strategy in a frictionless way. And that will be the ideal. And it's so hard to achieve. And there's still a little bit of a resistance on people's minds because they don't know how to think about AI and what the role is of AI. And my analogy is that it's sneakers for the mind that makes you run faster and reach your goal sooner.
Yeah, I think that you really just laid out for everybody what I meant when I said contextualize. And by the way, I don't think it's episodic. I think this is going to be a constant drumbeat for a CRO to contextualize the vast amount of outputs from AI and then continue to maintain a voice of the customer. But then you also set me up perfectly for number 3. Want to hear number 3?
Go ahead.
All right. So when we think about just the day-to-day activity level support that I think we can expect from AI, I believe this technology is going to become so powerful that it will literally, you'll be able to feed it your sales process and it will ping and prompt salespeople throughout the day as their deals progress through the various stages of your sales process. So that's great. Talk about speed and efficiency. But then CROs will not want to just allow their sales team's capability to atrophy. To the contrary, they're going to want to continue to invest and sponsor precise skill development. And one of the examples that I think of when I think of precise skill development is true critical level thinking, critical skills, critical thinking, because we don't want to be so reliant on anything that comes out of AI that we can't use our human brains to overrule and override when the situation calls for it.
I think that's really interesting the way you laid it out. And what I'm extracting from that are 2 things. AI is going to help you with next steps, what to do next, and how to execute and how to do it better than what you did before, or better than what other salespeople have done before, other people in the organization. But here's the thing: what you thought you're talking about thinking, and to me, the future of AI is the next level is giving people ideas that they need to think about. That is outside their box. It's outside their awareness. So I think that AI can be in the future an awareness enhancer. And to me, thinking is an experimental form of action. And thinking is cheap. Action is very expensive, as you know. So by thinking more and create a more thoughtful organization that is prepared to pivot at a moment's notice when they need to rethink a customer situation and get the right ideas on the table that helps them close the deal.
That's right. And I'll give you a great example now that everybody can relate to if they've used AI, to save them time writing or producing something creative, right? You give it inputs, you give it really great prompts, and it'll spit out something that's well written, it's polished on its surface. It looks like, wow, this really saved me some time. But if you truly are a subject matter expert in that area and you start to read line by line, precept by precept, you realize, gosh, there's something about this that somewhat feels like empty calories. So I may adopt part of it, but I need to override it and use critical thinking to truly enhance the value of the final product. That's a rough example today, but I expect that to continue in the years ahead, where we're going to need really intelligent salespeople that can decide, do I leverage what AI is giving me? Do I modify it, or do I discard it? And the time is now to start building and supplementing, I think, those next level critical thinking skills.
I think that there is one more issue that I want to bring into this conversation, which is the role of the CRO is not only to create value for the company, but also to create value for the people that work for the company, create value for the customer. But, and here's the missing part. A lot of people don't think about this. We also need to create value for society and give back to the community that gives us our workforce.
That's
So a lot of companies are not connected to their community. Why? Because after COVID, everybody is hiding in their cave. And when you look at Professor Putnam's work on sociology, where he writes about fewer people, kids are now enrolled in Boy Scouts than ever, or in Girl Scouts, or in women's clubs and men's organizations, and memberships of once thriving communities are shrinking.
Interesting.
And that is something that is worrisome, because we were a very vibrant society and had a very active community, and that is going to hurt us in the long run. So leaders that we need to succeed create triple value for their company, value for their people, and value for their community.
I think that's right. And I think the CRO does have that responsibility to some extent to balance the power of AI with the humanity for both our buyers, our customers, our prospects, but then the community at large, our own sales force. Someone has to be that advocate. And you know what, we hear a lot about the human AI hybrid. You know, the global thought leaders are always talking about that, the human machine hybrid. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to a couple of things. Who decides where AI begins and where it leaves off? And how do we seamlessly take that baton from AI and show up in a way that our buyers will crave? It's going to come down to that CRO to design what that experience looks like.
So let's summarize and give our audience 3 reasons why they need to be in Vegas at the CRO Summit. And the first one is, get out of your office. That's not your learning laboratory. Get in touch with your peers. We are going to have a private CEO dinner with a private wine tasting, and it's only for CEOs. But we do have other dinners, other activities where people can get face-to-face with their peers.
That's great. And I would say from a programming perspective, the voices on the stage and the topics are very diverse. In some cases, it'll be a continuation of what you and I have been talking about today, Gerhard. There's a lot on the docket relative to AI, but it's not just about the future. It's also about what's happening in the present. And you can speak and interact with peers and experts and practitioners to reduce your own curve of trial and error. And that is in and of itself a reason for coming. So, you know, the business case for coming.
Yeah, I think that that reminds me of a German word called the Zeitgeist. And the Zeitgeist means that's the spirit of our times. And our thinking is heavily influenced by that. And we need to have a greater understanding of what are the larger forces that are impacting our decisions. It's not just that we make decisions in a vacuum. We are in a political ecosystem. We are living in a global ecosystem that's influenced by wars that are worrisome to people, that impact purchasing habits. We are impacted globally by commerce that has a lot of tension. There are a lot of supply chain issues. There are a lot of issues with resources. There is the concern about the environment and who do you want to do business with, and there are internal issues that people bring to the office that need to be clarified. So I think those conversations are not themes that are being discussed in a business, and that's why you need to go outside And I have done those Sales 3.0 conferences now for 15 years. And we had those intimate conversations, especially during the breaks or at dinners, where people bare their soul and talk about how challenging it really is and isolating it is to be a leader. And that's why we have created this community. And that's why we're inviting you to come and join us in Vegas.
Yeah, we would love to see you there. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not just the formal programming, but it's the whole way conversations, the networking, the ability to be honest and candid with one another. It's priceless.
So go and look at this QR code, scan it, sign up today. You're going to get a nice discount if you sign up today. Thank you, Dayna. That was excellent.
Oh, thank you, Gerhard. This is great.
It's always great to connect with you.
Thank you.
All right. My end to stream button.